What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to talk about the DJI Action 5 Pro. I have had this camera for a little under a year now, and I have been using it as an everyday camera and everyday carry, and I've been very happy with the results. When I first picked up this camera, I really thought it was going to be my adventure action camera, and it ended up being so much more than that. I thought I would initially use it just for cycling and kind of capturing those adventure style videos, but I ended up using it as a lifestyle camera and an everyday carry camera. I brought this on multiple trips with me, and I was absolutely blown away by the footage I was able to capture on this little camera. I would say if you are in extremely good light, it does compare to the Osmo Pocket 3, which is the camera I am filming on right now. Anyways, I want to talk about my initial thoughts on having this camera for a little under a year now, and I wanted to give you guys kind of the positives, the negatives, and whether or not this camera is still a great everyday camera. So let's get into it. Let's first talk about the design and ease of use of the DJI Action 5 Pro. So as you can see, this camera is extremely small. Here's my hand for comparison, and then here is also my iPhone for comparison. And you can see it really doesn't take up that much space, and it's super easy for me to carry it with me. A lot of times I am just carrying around like a small bag like this, and I can simply throw it in this bag and it's not taking up that much space. So no matter where I am going, I'm going to bring this little camera with me, and I am going to have this camera to be able to shoot whether I'm just capturing my day, or if I'm out there trying to capture a reel for Instagram or TikTok, or if I'm out there capturing B-roll for my YouTube channel. I know this camera is going to be by my side because it is so small and it's super easy to carry with me wherever I go. And I did recently start a Substack, and I am posting a lot of filmmaking, photography over there, so you can check out my Substack. It's kovalecki.substack.com. I'll leave a link to it right here. I do want to talk about the ease of use. DJI's user experience has been really great with their cameras. This has the same kind of setup as the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So if you are familiar with that camera, this setup is going to be exactly the same. And it's so easy for me to go in here and select my settings, whether I want to shoot 120 frames per second in slow motion. And yes, this camera does do 120 frames per second. Or if I'm just out there capturing 30 frames per second for a little bit more generic B-roll that I might throw in a reel, or just capturing some content throughout the day. I know this camera is going to do an exceptional job, and it's really not that much of a hassle to take this camera out and record a video with it. I would say it's just as easy as recording a video on your phone. And because it doesn't take up that much space, I would much rather use this camera than my iPhone, because my iPhone is always running out of storage. And I know with this camera, I have a built-in 48 gigabytes, and it's nearly impossible to fill that up. But if it does fill up, no problem at all. I can just throw in another SD card, and I have pretty much unlimited storage on this camera, and I can film day in and day out. Whether I'm out on vacation like I was in London, I'll show some of that footage right here, or if I'm out just doing my everyday activities, I know I can capture some content with the DJI Action 5 Pro. Now, I do want to talk about an accessory that has really made this camera super easy for me to use, and that is this little cage here made by Small Rig. And I love this cage so much because it does add a little bit more protection to the camera, but it also adds 1/4 inches to the bottom and to the side of this camera, which allows me to use any tripod that I want with this camera, and it just makes it so seamless to use. So if I'm out there and I want to record a vertical video, I can simply install my tripod to the bottom of my camera, and now I am recording a vertical video, which I'll show here in the corner. And now you can see it is so easy for me to start recording a vertical video, whether I want to post this video on Instagram or TikTok, or if I want to just use some additional B-roll or capture a moment that I'm going to use for my YouTube channel. It is that easy to start using the DJI Action 5 Pro and start recording a video. And I do think this cage helps a lot and makes it a little bit easier to start recording on the go with this little camera. Okay, so now let's talk about the image quality and the stabilization on this little camera. So the image quality is exceptional, especially for a camera of this size. I would say it is comparable to the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 if you are in extremely good light, which most of the time I'm using this camera for daylight, or I'm walking around the city. It's generally going to be during the day. I don't recommend using this camera at night because the low light isn't the greatest, and you do get a little bit of wobble with the stabilization, but as long as you have a lot of light, this camera really does take some amazing footage. And as you can see throughout this video, I have been playing a lot of B-roll, which I have shot on this little DJI Action 5 Pro, so you really can see the quality that I am able to get, and I think the quality is absolutely exceptional for a camera of this size. Another great thing about this camera is it does shoot a ton of different frame rates, so if you're like me and you like to really film things in slow motion. I love using the 100 frames per second on this camera and the 60 frames per second on this camera, and then I convert it back to 24 or 30, whatever timeline I am working in. And to have a camera that shoots such amazing slow motion footage with you at all time really is something unique. And I really do think this can help your footage stand out, especially if you are coming from an iPhone, because the slow motion on this camera is going to look so much better than the footage that's coming from your iPhone. And I think if you are looking for a camera that does capture a little bit more slow motion cinematic footage, I don't think you can go wrong with the DJI Action 5 Pro. I would say even it has better slow motion settings than the Osmo Pocket 3, and this really surprised me because the 120 frames per second and the 100 frames per second does look a little bit better on the DJI Action 5 Pro than the Osmo Pocket 3 in my opinion. And the Osmo Pocket 3 is a better camera with a better sensor, so whatever magic DJI is putting into this, they certainly did a great job, and I really do love using the slow motion capabilities on this little camera. Now, when it comes to the color of the footage on this camera, I do highly recommend shooting in D-Log, and D-Log is going to allow you to get the highest quality footage off of this camera. I know when you're shooting it, it's going to look flat, but don't be scared. You can add a simple S-curve in post and bring those colors back with a little bit more saturation. You can also apply different LUTs to this camera. DJI does have their own, which works very well. And speaking of LUTs, this video is filmed with my DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I did recently release a LUT pack, so you can see some of those LUTs right here. I am color grading this whole video with my LUT pack, but you can also use these LUTs on the DJI Action 5 Pro. I do highly recommend just setting them to 50% or 40% because the D-Log coming off of this footage isn't as flat as the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, but the footage still does look great if you are color grading and you're looking for an easy way to color grade your footage on your DJI Action 5 Pro, so I will link those in the description for you to check them out. Now let's talk about some of the negatives. So after using this camera, the biggest negative for me is its low light performance. But again, this is such a small camera. I'm not expecting it to blow my mind when it comes to low light footage. When it comes to low light footage, I'm probably going to still use my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now, who do I think this camera is for? I do think this camera is for someone who's maybe out there daily vlogging and wanting to capture their daily routine and different activities they're doing during the day. And maybe they want to step it up from the footage that they are capturing on their iPhone. I do also think this camera is for someone who is out there traveling and really wants to bring a small compact camera with them that they could run for hours on end and really be able to capture their trip while also capturing some amazing footage. And lastly, I do think this camera still is for that person who's out there doing adventure sports. You can see some of the footage when I am cycling. The footage off this action camera does look great. And if you are out there riding a motorcycle, or if you are out there doing some type of skiing or some action activities, I still do think that DJI Action 5 Pro is probably the best action camera on the market for you right now. So at the end of the day, I really do think this is a great camera, especially since it was released a little bit over a year ago. I mean, the quality you're still getting off of this camera is exceptional for 2025, and it is very small, super easy to use, and a lot of times it's really fun to use. You know, they have a lot of accessories out there to really customize the way you are using your DJI Action 5 Pro. And I am going to continue using this as my everyday camera because of its size. And I'm choosing this camera most of the time over my Osmo Pocket 3 if I am just going out with friends or if I am just going out to capture something because of the size and how easy it is to carry with me. And I really do think if you are looking for an everyday camera, you can't go wrong with the DJI Action 5 Pro. And if you do have any questions about the DJI Action 5 Pro, please ask me in the comment section below. I also have various videos on this camera, so please check out those videos on my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I do actually create a lot of my reels using the DJI Action 5 Pro, so you will see a lot of sample footage over there. And please like and subscribe to this channel because you know it helps my channel grow. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.